Coach Mason here with Dr. Dish Basketball. Really, really excited to be joined by Ethan Happ, amazing basketball player, currently still playing basketball right now. Had a chance to watch him in college, and recently I know he got one of our Dr. Dish shooting machines, at his place where he's doing a lot of training. So, Ethan, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's just jump right into it. I'm sure that a lot of people are curious. They probably watched you in college and have followed your career up until this point. Talk a little bit about when you started playing basketball and how you made the decision throughout high school to go to the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, so not uncommon. I started when I first could pick up a ball. In my neighborhood, we played all the sports, baseball, football, basketball, but basketball was kind of a bonding experience for my dad and I. And we always, that's basically what we talked about. And so everyone wants to impress their father or whatever, the relationship may be, but that was kind of my driving force. I wanted to, be a player. My father could be like, wow, he has a great work ethic. He really works hard, and he's skilled. And he always told me since I was a kid that I had the talent to play Division I, but then it was up to me to, put in the work. And that was the kind of echoed in my head throughout all my years of training was, I have this shot. And that's kind of what brought me to, work as hard as I did to try and get a scholarship at Wisconsin.
Awesome. And so obviously you played there, had a tremendous basketball career at the University of Wisconsin. I'm a Wisconsin and a Gopher fan, so I have people that played at the U of M, good friends of mine, and then I also had some really good friends a little bit older than you, Ethan, that played at Wisconsin. Jordan Taylor, John Lure. I have a Mike Bruzewicz. There's a few guys that a little bit older than you that I played with growing up, so I have a love for both teams. Now, talk a little bit about some of the memories you had, maybe your favorite memory that you had at the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I feel bad that you're kind of a Gopher fan too. That kind of rubs me the wrong way. That's okay. So basically, there's so many great memories, and a lot of people that go through their college experience say that, relationships is the best part of it, whether that's through the academic people, through the coaches, players, people on campus. But if I had to pick out a memory, I would say, I don't know if I've ever had the amount of joy that I had when we beat Villanova to go to the Sweet 16. It was I was really tight with Vito Brown, Nigel Hayes, the class that was a year above me, or 2 years above me technically. And it was their senior year, and we kind of got short for the tournament meetings. And we were a good team, but we were going against and everyone was out. Everyone thought our season was over. After beating Villanova, in the locker room, I can just remember just screaming in everyone's face, just like grabbing them by the shoulder, shaking them, and the whole locker room was like that. And it was just probably it was one of the best memories I've had at Wisconsin for sure.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Just even myself playing college basketball, I played at Northern Colorado, small Division I, and then I went over to Minnesota State Mankato. I've talked about this a lot. We went to the Final Four, and I just remember those memories of winning those big games and going to the locker room and then having the city behind us as well. Those are things that will stick in my head for a long time. And then I was fortunate myself to play, 4 or 5 years professionally, and I had some really great memories, playing all over Europe and in the team camaraderie and upsetting a big team that you're not supposed to beat because they have a larger budget than you, or they're a big time team. It's always a great feeling. Now, a lot of people don't really know how this process works, and it's different at multiple levels. I know I've talked personally about my experience going from playing college basketball and getting an agent and then playing professionally myself. Talk a little bit about what the process was like for you after your last year at Wisconsin and then turning pro.
Yeah, so after my senior season at Wisconsin, I started to do a bunch of draft workouts. I had an agent who had been contacting me for 2 years, and I decided to sign with them. And we, just went all over the country to, a lot of different teams and worked out in front of them. And the goal was to make it to the NBA and get drafted. And draft night was a tough one to swallow. It was, but it was, it's all part of the process. And if you, the older you get, you kind of realize the harder things that you go through, the better they become for you. The tougher times really prove to be bigger moments in your life than even some of your successes. And I think that's true for me as well, because I'm still on the road. I do eventually still have a goal to get back in the NBA, but basically, went through pre-draft and then didn't get drafted, and then free agency happened, where I had a decision: do I go try a camp deal for an NBA team, or take guaranteed money in Europe? Saw my film. He was coach at Olympiacos, and he wanted to pick me up. At a really, to go from college to Euroleague is not a lot of players get that opportunity, and I was lucky enough to be seen by him, and that's kind of right after my senior season.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is very, very hard. I played in Europe myself at kind of a middle level. I played top league in a couple countries, but never had the opportunity to play EuroLeague. So for a player like yourself, like you said, going right out of college and being able to play in essentially the top league in Europe is major. And what people don't realize is that you go right over there, you're playing against grown men just like you are in the NBA. A lot of guys that have already played in the NBA and guys that could play in the NBA if they wanted to, that choose to play in that league. So, that's about as good as it gets over Europe. So congratulations to yourself.
There's a lot of guys that stay there because the money, it's kind of end up making more than they would over here. But yeah, there's a lot of in-between guys for the NBA. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's tough to get up there for sure.
So I knew after I played in the G League that I wasn't going to be able to probably make an NBA roster or be a major part on any team, and I was making more money over in Europe myself. So made the decision for myself, just mentally being one of the top players and playing on European teams. I wanted to go that route, make some guaranteed money, and use that to get to where I am today. So I completely understand that idea of, hey, do you take the risk and try to make an NBA team, which, for a person like you, you're right there, or do you take, good money in Europe and also play equally at a high level and get experience? So, yeah, it's tough decisions, but, like you said, you get good people around you and you're just trusting the process. You'll be where you need to go. Now, with that being said, you just recently got Dr. Dish shooting machine, an all-star at home. Talk a little bit about how the Dish has helped you train, so far, especially during kind of this pandemic era.
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day. I think, I said the older you get, the wiser you get about the rough times you go through. The older you get as a basketball player, the more you want to be efficient in your time on the court. And Dr. Dish is, that's the best way to be efficient. It's not me chasing the rebound. It's not my, my trainer chasing the rebound. We're getting hundreds of meaningful reps up, and not just shooting, but, we're working on floaters, we're working on post moves, and we're getting hundreds of reps up in, an hour, when if we wanted to get that same number of reps up between the two of us, it might be 2 hours on the court. And the older you get, I still am 24, but, the older you get, you want to kind of preserve your body and you want to be as efficient as possible on the court. So Dr. Dish has been huge advantage to me, especially, when I haven't really had access to a gym. I've just been in my driveway.
That's awesome to hear. I know that for myself. I mean, even when I was coming up, I didn't really have a lot of access to, training equipment like that. And Since we started the whole Dr. Dish thing and this product is boom, I've been in the gym with, other pro guys training, and in there just even myself. And I've seen how much I've improved as now 32 years old. I'm like, man, if I would have had something like this, or I was really efficient with my training like this when I was 24, 25, where could I have been? And that's a running joke. I sound like an old head saying that, but it's true though. And I mean, you as a 24-year-old guy who's played at the highest levels, you understand being efficient is a huge thing. And it's cool that your machine has helped you get that. I mean, that's the goal of Dr. Dish as well, which is really cool. Now tell me quick here before we get out of here, what are some of your future goals? I mean, you talked a little bit about obviously you wanting to get back to the NBA at some point, but talk a little bit about your future goals and what you plan on and how to get there.
Yeah, so right now I'm kind of decision-making mode of, if I go to Athens and play for Olympiacos, still on the table, or if, there's another opportunity we're not sure what we want to do. So it's kind of free agency right now. Either way, I really plan on, not using the next year as stepping stone. I do, within a year's time, I plan on taking another shot on going back in in the NBA market and trying to either, a two-way or I feel like another year of developing my game overseas against some of the really, top-level teams over there. I feel like, the end goal for me, or I guess not end goal, but in like a year's time or maybe 2 years out to be back in the NBA. So to do that, I've showcased my game last year, but now I have to, play even more and get even more minutes at the Euroleague level, and try and improve my game and the like I said, the floaters, the kind of in between game, and I've been using the Dr. for that, and then obviously for anyone who's my career, to really get a consistent jump shot, and that's those are two things that I'm working on every day with the Dr. Dish machine.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you're developing your game. That's what it takes to be a pro player. You got to continue to work on that stuff and add to your game. It's crazy how it evolves from college to the professional level and the expectations and the work that you have to put in. Before we get out of here, like I said, tell us one thing. Obviously, you're a basketball player. Back when I was your age and I did podcasts and all that, and people were asking me about my career, they'd ask me a million and one questions about basketball. And one time I was on a podcast years ago, and somebody asked me, what's the thing that I'm most interested outside of basketball that most people don't know? And it was a unique question because I'm like, wow, I never really got that before. And I was always interested in a lot of different things. So I went into this and then so on and so forth. So I wanted to present that to you. Obviously, you're a basketball player. You're focused on that. That's been, majority of your life, and you're great at it. But tell the people that are watching out there one thing that they may not know that you're interested in.
And it kind of came about recently since quarantine. I stopped playing video games completely. That used to be my thing, and I've just picked up a lot, probably 30 books in this quarantine time. And I actually started a book club or type of book club with my neighbor who was also stuck in quarantine. So, self-help books and fiction books, science books. I've been going, I don't know, probably 15 books in the last 2 months or something like that. And I have never, in school, you couldn't get me to read outside of class. You couldn't. It was impossible because I was already frustrated with what I had to read. And now that I'm out of school, I've definitely taken up a love of books. So anyone who has some good recommendations for self-help or some good fiction books, I'm always some new ideas and new books.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's crazy how things evolve. I know there's a lot of things that I did I didn't do in college that I do now. And as you get older, your perspective and your time, and the things you look forward to really does evolve. Well, Ethan, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to jump on. Really, really happy that you're a part of the Dr. Dish family. You exemplify everything in a player that we love: hard work, dedication. Continue to see your game evolve has been great. And we wish you nothing but the best. I know that you're going to continue to have a ton of success over in Europe And we can't wait to see you playing in the NBA sometime here soon once all of this craziness ends. So, again, we really appreciate you taking the time to jump on.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me. And, I look forward to keep, the journey to make it back to the NBA, but I'll enjoy every step of the way up until that point.
All right, my man. You take care. And I'll shoot you over some book recommendations. I only got a few. I have to think about them, but I'll send them over to you, and you'll have to let me know what you think.
Okay. Beautiful, man. Sounds good.
All right. You take care. Thanks again, buddy.
Yep. Take care.